Thank you for joining this short webinar showing you how to review the completion guidance when making an import declaration using the Customs Declaration Service. This is Step 8 and Step 9 of a series of short webinars taking you through the Customs Declaration Service guidance on completing an import declaration. This table sets out the step-by-step guides we'll be covering in this series. We'll be showing you screenshots from gov.uk. HMRC is constantly improving the digital experience of our customers, so you may find that some of these screenshots will be slightly different to those you'll see on gov.uk. This webinar series follows Hallie, who is importing children's t-shirts into Great Britain from the USA. She has her own software product, which means she can submit her own declarations via the Customs Declaration Service. Her t-shirts will be entering free circulation in Great Britain. Please remember to follow the 10 steps in the navigation guide in order, otherwise your declaration will fail validation. Hallie needs to ensure that she's on the Navigate the CDS Declaration Instructions for Imports page, previously referred to as Navigate the UK Trade Tariff CDS Volume 3 for Imports. If Hallie scrolls down, she'll see the 10 steps she needs to follow. If Hallie scrolls down, she'll see steps 8 and 9, which relate to filling out her customs declaration. Hallie needs to find all the other relevant codes she needs to complete her customs declaration. The first thing Hallie will do is open the CDS Declaration Completion Instructions for Imports guide, which has data element by data element guidance of what is required. This can be accessed via two links in both steps 8 and 9. By clicking on the hyperlink, Hallie is taken to the main guidance page. Hallie scrolls down and selects CDS Declaration Completion Instructions for Imports. This opens up the guidance page, which Hallie will need to read through. She scrolls down to the data groups. Hallie starts with Group 1 and selects the hyperlink. Now Hallie has navigated to Group 1 guidance, but notes that she will also need to use Appendix 1 and 2 as supplementary information relating to her procedure, and additional procedure codes is required. Hallie navigates to Appendix 1 and searches for her procedure code 4000, which she did in Step 3. She needs to use this in conjunction with the CDS Declaration Completion Instructions for Imports that she found earlier. Hallie has the CDS Declaration Completion Instructions for Imports open on the left and Appendix 1 open on the right. As she needs to complete the declaration, Hallie will start looking at the first data element 1.1. Hallie needs to scroll down on the CDS Declaration Completion Instructions for Imports to find all the possible categories that can be used against her declaration category of H1. Hallie also needs to have Appendix 21A open, which she used in Step 1 to identify her declaration category. She needs to have this open when completing her declaration to know which data elements need to be completed. The CDS Declaration Completion Instructions for Imports show that the possible values that can be imported into the declaration are IM and CO. According to Appendix 1, the codes that can be used with Procedure Code 4000 are also IM and CO. Using this information, Hallie can decide the correct declaration type to enter into data element 11 for declaration category H1. As she's trading with the USA, Hallie selects the declaration type IM. It's important to note that if the rules specified in the CDS declaration completion instructions for imports are different to the rules specified in Appendix 1 and 2, Appendix 1 and 2 always take precedence. This applies to all the data entries in the import declaration. Hallie moves on to the next data element of the declaration. She has scrolled down to data element 1.2, additional declaration type. Hallie has also identified data element 1.2 in Appendix 1. As Hallie works her way through the data elements, if there are any requirements specifically relevant to an H1 declaration in the CDS declaration completion instructions for imports, these would be detailed under a declaration category H1 heading. An example of this is the specific guidance for declaration category H7. As data element 1.2 doesn't have a specific heading for declaration category H1, Hallie follows the guidance under the heading All Declaration Categories, whilst still remembering that Appendix 1 and 2 take precedence. On the left, Hallie scrolls down and can see the possible entries for data element 1.2. On the right, in Appendix 1, Hallie can see the valid additional declaration types possible when using Procedure Code 4000. As Hallie is using Declaration Category H1 with a Procedure Code of 4000 and making a standard customs declaration, the only options for her are A and D. As Hallie's goods have arrived, the appropriate code is A. In addition to using Appendix 1, Hallie also needs to use Appendix 2 in conjunction with the CDS declaration completion instructions for imports. Hallie returns to Appendix 2 and navigates to Additional Procedure Code 000, which she did in Step 4. Once she has navigated to an Additional Procedure 000, Hallie needs to use this in conjunction with the CDS declaration completion instructions for imports that she found earlier in this webinar. As you can see, for Additional Procedure Code 000, there are no extra conditions that need to be met. Therefore, Hallie doesn't need to include anything from this appendix. It's important to note that other additional procedure codes might require specific fields to be completed, laid out in the same format as Appendix 1. Now that Hallie has worked through data elements 1.1 and 1.2 in Group 1, she needs to work through all of the other data elements in Groups 1 to 8. Hallie has now identified how to successfully complete her declaration, remembering that Appendix 1 and 2 take precedence. Watch the next webinar to see how Hallie will use appendices to complete her customs declaration.